Today, we're talking about a massive, fundamental shift in how we actually build software. We are leaving behind all those rigid, frustrating tools and stepping into a world where you can create really complex, amazing applications with a speed that is, well, it's just astonishing. So let's dive right in.
So let me ask you something. Have you ever had this brilliant idea for an app, a perfect user interface in your head, only to get completely and totally boxed in by the tools you're using? You know exactly what I mean, right? Those drag and drop builders that promise the world, but all they really deliver is sameness. Well, this explainer is all about smashing that box to pieces.
And this, right here, this really tells the whole story. It's a tale of two philosophies. On one side, you've got the old way. It's slow, it's rigid, it's all based on these cookie-cutter templates. And on the other side, the new way. Instant, completely custom, and incredibly flexible. We're talking about a complete 180-degree turn from being limited by your tools to being totally empowered by them.
Okay, so to really get where we're going, we've got to first understand the problem we're so happy to be leaving behind. And it's a problem we can call the prison of forms. For years, for the longest time, the way to do this was something called human-driven design. Sounds good, right? You'd use some page designer, you drag some buttons and boxes onto a screen, hook it up to your data, and boom, you've got an app. But this whole approach, as simple as it sounds, it comes with some serious hidden costs.
And this quote, it just absolutely nails the frustration. When you are forced into the little box of a form designer, your creativity just withers. Every single page looks pretty much the same. You can't build something that's genuinely amazing because you're stuck trying to cram your great idea into their pre-built model. It works, sure, but is it inspired? Not a chance. So the big question is, how do we break free from this prison? Well, it takes a totally new philosophy. We're going to stop designing pages altogether. Instead, we're going to start building plugins. The concept here is actually super simple. Think of a plugin as its own little mini app. The main software you see is just an app shell, kind of like an empty container. And these plugins, they're totally self-contained little bits of magic you can just drop right in. You're not stuck editing some restrictive page anymore. You're creating a truly custom application from the ground up. All right, so what exactly is a plugin under the hood? Well, it's a modern JavaScript file that gets served up from something called a backend for frontend, or a BFF. Just think of it as a special server whose only job is to handle the user interface. It's so smart, it creates its own menus on the fly, and it's incredibly secure. Every single time the plugin changes, it gets a new, unique hash, like a digital fingerprint, to make sure it's the real deal and hasn't been tampered with. It's flexible, dynamic, and safe. Okay, so we have this powerful, flexible plugin architecture. But who's actually building these things? This is where the whole story takes a fascinating turn. Meet your new co-developer, artificial intelligence. And this right here is the absolute game changer. The era of a human meticulously dragging and dropping and tweaking an interface, that's ending. We're walking into a new world where an AI can vibe code. I love that phrase. You don't give it a list of boring instructions. You give it a concept, an idea, a vibe, and it just generates all the working code for you. Now you might be wondering, okay, how on earth does an AI know how to do any of this? Well, it's not magic. It's been given a cheat sheet, a comprehensive guide called a playbook. This document literally has everything the AI needs to know. All the best practices for making an app look beautiful, making it run fast, keeping it secure, and connecting it to all the back-end stuff. You're essentially giving the AI a PhD in expert-level development. And the process itself? It is almost laughably simple. First, the AI studies that playbook. Then, a developer gives it a prompt. And get this, it doesn't even have to be technical. It can literally be as simple as, make it more wow. The AI takes that vibe, cross-references it with the rules in the playbook, and generates the entire plugin. And just like that, the new UI is ready to go, instantly. Now, it's really important to get this straight. These AI-generated user interfaces aren't just mock-ups or pretty pictures. They are fully functional, real-deal applications. And they're powered by a really robust and intelligent engine on the back end. Let's take a quick peek at what makes it all tick. It really boils down to three main components. First, there's the CRUD service. That's just a fancy way of saying it can create, read, update, and delete data from pretty much any system, without you writing a bunch of code. Second is the PDP,
the policy decision point. Think of this as the security brain or the bouncer for your app. It decides who gets to do what. And finally, the approval service, which is this incredibly flexible system for managing approvals. Now, let's talk about approvals for a second. In most traditional systems, if you needed something approved, you were just stuck. The approval logic was hard-coded, trapped inside some specific rigid workflow. And if what you were doing wasn't part of that workflow, well, you were out of luck. But with this new model, approvals are set free. They're not stuck inside a workflow anymore. This new approval service can be slapped onto any action anywhere in the system. You want to make sure creating a new user gets approved? Done. You want to require 3 levels of approval before someone can delete a critical application? You can do that too. The power and flexibility here are just immense. So how does this magic actually work? Well, it all comes back to that PDP, our security brain. It can return something called an obligation. So when you try to do something sensitive, the PDP can step in and say, whoa, hold on. Yes, you are technically allowed to do this, but you have an obligation. You have to get it approved first. And then it automatically kicks off the whole approval process. It's seamless, it's intelligent, and it's secure. So let's put all these pieces together. We have custom plugins, we have an AI co-developer, we have a ridiculously powerful backend. What does all of that add up to? The answer is one word: speed. And I'm talking about a kind of development speed that was, until now, basically unthinkable. This quote just perfectly captures the feeling of this process. It's not a struggle anymore. You're not fighting with your tools. You're in a rapid, creative conversation with an AI. You can build something incredibly complex, something you could never do in an old form builder, just by jamming with the AI and saying, more wow. And here's the bottom line: the incredible result. A project that by any normal measure would be estimated at 3 months of development work can now be done start to finish in 45 minutes. No, that is not a typo. 45 minutes. The scale of that acceleration it's just hard to even wrap your head around. And think about what that speed really means. When you can build a totally custom UI in less than an hour, you're not married to it anymore. If you decide you don't like it next week, who cares? Just have the AI build you another one. User interfaces become effectively disposable. This allows you to constantly iterate and reinvent the user experience without any massive cost or delay. And this right here, this is the ultimate takeaway. The entire mindset of how you build software just flips on its head. You stop asking, what are the limitations of my tools? And you start asking, how do I make this experience as absolutely amazing and cool as possible for my users? It is a complete pivot away from limitation and into pure, unadulterated potential. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Forget about projects that take months. Forget about being stuck with clunky tools. If you and an AI co-developer could build a perfect custom application in a single afternoon, what would you create? The possibilities are now truly endless.